Today's lecture is on roots. To review for a second, we've already talked about powers. We use powers or exponents as a shortcut for multiplication. The exponent of a number says how many times to use the base number in a multiplication problem. And we talked a little bit about what the base was. That's this larger number here. And the exponent is the smaller number up at the top. So in this example, the base is 2 and the exponent is 3. This says that 2 times 2 times 2 is the same thing as 2 to the power of 3. You have 3 of the 2's. And we also learn how to use the calculator to compute powers. Let's look at this here. We found this button right here called the caret. You see my right finger is pointing to it here. The caret symbol, and that means to the power of, right here. So let's just practice a couple of these that we tried last time. Let's do 4 to the power of 5. And remember, that means 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. 4 is being multiplied by itself 5 times. 4, caret symbol. And now do you see how the exponent appears up here very small? Enter. 1024. Let's do 2 to the power of 4. You might be able to do it in your head, but that's okay. It's good to practice here. 2, caret symbol 4, enter, 16. And in this case, the 6 is being multiplied by itself 7 times. So 6, caret, 7, enter. And we have, that's a long one, 279,936. So today we're going to learn about something called roots. No, not this kind of roots here. I'm talking about a symbol that looks like this right here. And beware, it is not the same as the division symbol. You're probably used to looking at this symbol here. Maybe you have 10, which is being divided by 5, and the answer would be 2. This is not the symbol that we're talking about. We're talking about this one here. And another name for this symbol is also called radical. Usually in this class we'll call it roots, but if you get into any of the higher level math, they'll often call it radical. Now, remember when we squared a number, like 4 to the power of 2? Well, the opposite of squaring a number is to find its square root. It looks like this. This would be the square root of 16. To find the square root of 16, you need to look at the answer, which is this here. You look at the answer, and then you need to figure out what number multiplied by itself equals that number. So the square root of 16 is 4, because 4 times itself is 16. So really, you're trying to find the base again. Finding the square root is being on a search for the base again. And look at this picture to see how a square root can undo a problem. Remember, it's pretty much the opposite of squaring. If you start here with the 3, what happens when I square 3? 3 squared, that's 3 times 3, and I would get 9. You can actually go back the other way. What happens when you have 9, but you want to take the square root of 9? What number times itself equals 9? 3. So you can go this way, and then you can go back again. I think it will help to look at some examples. So without using a calculator, find the square root of the following problems. The square root of 4. So what number multiplied by itself will give you 4? 2. 2 times 2 equals 4. How about the square root of 36? What number multiplied by itself gives you 36? 6. I think you're getting the hang of it now. What number times itself gives you 49? 7. And what number times itself gives you 144? 12. So the square root of 144 is 12. All right, slightly more complicated is a cubed root. And a cubed root looks like this. It has the same square root symbol or radical sign, but it has a little 3 there. Remember how we cubed a number? 2 times 2 times 2 would be 8. Well, this time you're looking at the answer and you're trying to figure out what the base is. You're going back the other way. So for instance, the cubed root of 8 is 2 because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Let's do some examples here. That always helps. What is the cubed root of 27? Well, in your head, can you think of any number if you're multiplying it by itself 3 times gives you 27? Let's just start with a low number like 2. 2 times 2 times 2. That's 3 times itself. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. No, that's too low. Let's just start with 3. 3 times itself 3 times. Let's try that. 3 times 3 is 9. Times 3 is, 27. So then the cubed root of 27 is 3. I'm just going to go up one. Let's think maybe this could be 4. 4 times itself 3 times. Let's see. 4 times 4 is 16 times 4. Yes, it is. It's 64. So the cubed root of 64 is 4. And I see a 3, a 4. Maybe this is a 5. Let's see. The cubed root of 125. That's some number multiplied by itself 3 times. Could be 5. 5 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25 times 5. Yes, it's 125. So the cubed root of 125 is 5. Okay, so we did 3, 4, 5. Maybe this is 6, but this number looks pretty big. The cubed root of 1,728. Let's try 6. 6 times 6 times 6. That 6 times 6 is 36. And then 36 times 6. 6 times 6 is 36. Carry the 3. 3 times 6 is 18. 19, 20, 21. So 216. No, that's way too low. So I think the cubed root of 1,728 is quite a bit bigger than 6. But we're not going to do it right now. That would take us a little while. So this is getting complicated. Is there an easier way? And luckily there is. Last page. Use your calculator. And I love giving you calculator hints, and I'm going to do that now. So get out your calculator so you can follow along with me. This time, you're going to find the symbol that looks like this. It's not quite as easy to find. Here we go. And I'll give you a hint. It's not on a key, it's just above a key. Right there, it's just above the x squared key. Now, if there is something above a key and it's in green, you need to look for the green button. This is just like a typewriter where you shift. This button here that says second means shift. If you want to get to a symbol above a key, you can simply hit second and then the key. All right. So let's do this together. Do the first one together. We're going to figure out how to find the square root of 144. Now we know it's 12. 12 times 12 is 144, but we really want to figure out how to do it on the calculator. The first thing that we need to remember is that to get to this little green symbol here, I'm going to have to hit second. So that's going to be the first thing that I do. Second. Now I'm going to go ahead and highlight it in green for you, just so you'll remember that it's the green button. There we go. And the next thing that I'm going to do after I do that is hit the button. Second, I'm hitting this button right here. There we go. Second, and then we hit the x squared button because we want to get the square root sign on top of it. And then you'll see you've got a blinking cursor here. It's saying what number? Square root of what number? We're going to type in 1, 4, 4. 1, 4, 4. There. And then we hit enter. Aha. And it says 12. So go ahead and put these on your own paper. This is how you find the square root of a number. Make sure you know how to get the second or the shift key and then find the x squared because the radical sign is on top of it. All right, now it gets a little bit harder. Use your calculator to find a symbol that looks like this. Now we're going to have to figure out how to use the cubed root, and it's a little bit tougher. It's got a tiny x here, and it has the square root sign. This is saying, okay, so you're not going to do the square root. What root are you going to do? We're mostly going to be doing just the cube root, which is the 3, but you can actually find a 4th root, a 5th root, a 6th root, and all the way up. So this time follow my directions to figure out how to find the cubed root of 729. The trick to this one is that if you're doing anything other than a square root, like in this case it's the 3rd root, you have to put the root first, which is a 3. That's going to come first. 3. There we go. After that, I'm going to shift, which is the 2nd. And I'll put that in green for you again. Now I'm going to find the key that has the cubed root symbol, which is right here. Do you see it's right above the caret? The caret is the actual key, and if I shift, I'm going to get this one here. It has the x for the root, then it has the square root or the radical. So hit that one. There we go. And that 3 got very, very tiny. A lot of times our students will make a mistake when they're doing this, and that 3 doesn't get tiny, it stays big. In that case, it's not a cubed root. You're just multiplying whatever is in this symbol by a big 3. So make sure that your 3 gets small. All right, so we have 3. We shifted, and then we found the key with the caret on it. And right on top of it was the x with the square root. And so the cubed root of what is going to be 729. Then we'll hit enter. So the cubed root of 729, enter, is 9. So I think it'd be good for you to pause the video here and just try that again. Make sure that you understand how to find this symbol right here, because for anything that's not a square root, you'll have to use this one. All right, and you can use that little hint that I gave you to find any number's root. Let's find the 10th root. Use your calculator to solve this problem. Now remember, if it's not a square root, we're starting with this number here, which is a 10. So let's do it together. We have, put in the root, it's going to be the 10th root, and now we're going to have to hit 2nd so we can shift, and then find it. There it is. We already said what the x is, but we have to hit it. There. See how small that 10 got? That means that you did it right. And the number we're using here is 1,024. So the 10th root of 1,024 is just a 2. That's it. So that's saying that 2 multiplied by itself 10 times, like 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, all the way up to 10 times, is 1,024. And I didn't have to do a whole lot of work to do it. I just had to know what these steps were here. All right, so everyone's always wondering, how am I going to use this in my real life? Well, if you're signing up for the GED, you definitely need to know how to do exponents and roots. So let's do a problem together. This is actually an example of a problem from an older GED. Of course, I can't show you problems from the new ones, right? Let's read it together. John's monthly car payment is the square of 19 minus the square root of 169. What is John's monthly car payment? And then you have your choices here. $188, $348, $361, and $930. Well, right away, I'm looking at this D, and I'm thinking, maybe I can eliminate this one. That's kind of a high car payment. Of course, it could be the answer, but I've certainly never had a car payment that high. So just in my head, I don't think it's going to be that one. I'm hoping that I'm going to get an answer that's A, B, or C, because that makes a bit more sense. All right, so let's reread. John's monthly car payment is the square of 19. All right, that's important. Square of 19. 19 squared, or to the power of 2, minus, and that's the operation I'm using, the square root of 169. Square root of 169. So we know how to find these. Let's find 19 squared first. 19 caret 2. That's 19 to the power of 2. Enter, and that's 361. Minus the square root of 169. So to find the square root, I need this one here. I need shift. There it is. 169. Enter, which is 13. So his car payment is 361 minus 13, which is $348. Now let's look and see if that's one of our choices. And it is. So I think the answer is B. Very good.